See, you put that on Do Not Disturb. I'm gonna come sit with you guys.
Shana Tova. You know, that sounded really good. It sounded like a room full of people. It sounded like the new year should sound. Should we do it one more time? Shana Tova. Shana Tova. Yes. We begin our service with the sounds of Kol Nidrei. We welcome our past presidents to the Bima to hold the Torah. Please come up now. Don Kent, Sari Shear, Mickey Rindler, Bill Abrams, Jerry Arbatier, and Julie Solomon. And we rise. Do you want to hold one? This is the latest one.
הצדיק, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק, אור זרוע לצדיק, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב, ולישרי לב שמחה. בישיבה של מעלה ובשיבה של מטה, על דעת המקום ועל דעת הקהל, אנו מתירים להתפלל עם עבריינים. קול נדרי וסרי וחרמי וקונמי וכינויי וכינוסי ושבועות דין דרנה ודאשתבנה ודאחרימנה ודסרנה על נפשתנה מיום כיפורים זה על יום כיפורים הבא. עלינו לטובה כולון יחרת נום והון, כולון יהון שרון שוויקין שביטין ותן ומבוטלים, לא שרירין ולא קיימין,
all vows, resolves, and commitments, vows of abstinence and terms of obligation, sworn promises and oaths of dedication that we promise and swear to God and take upon ourselves from this Day of Atonement until next Day of Atonement, may it find us well. We regret them, and for all of them we repent. Let all of them be discarded and forgiven, abolished and undone. They are not valid, and they are not binding. Our vows shall not be vows, our resolves shall not be resolves, and our oaths, they shall not be oaths. All shall be forgiven, the entire community of Israel and the stranger who lives in their midst, for all have gone astray in error. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Amen. We turn to page 22 in our Machzor for the Baruch Hu. Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chokhma poteach she'arim, uvituna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmorotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or.
ומביא יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני
We turn to page 26. Please join us. Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam. Beit Yisrael. Ahavat Olam. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Please join me in chanting Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn to page 38 and we read in English together. Truth and faith, these are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, a people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality through great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life, who would not let our feet give way, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, of signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. Witnesses to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. Then Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy.
בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואומרו, אדוני עמו לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שמרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. 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 כי ביום הזה יכפר עליהם את הארצכם, מכי ביום הזה לפני אדוני תתערו.
We turn to page 45 for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעולמו תפרח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחיי חון וביומי חון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בזמן קריב, וימרו.
Amen.
יש מרבו מהרח לעולם, ולעולמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. בריחו לעילה ולעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, ושפחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה. ויאמרו
We rise for the Amidah, page 46.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה זוכרנו לחיים מלך חפץ בחיים וכותבנו בספר החיים למענך אלוהים חיים מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה מי כמוך אב הרחמים זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah. Please be seated. We continue reading together in English on the bottom of page 53. And so, in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name. And so in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith, true happiness for the land of Israel, true joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see a beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection. And so, in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy, a world where evil has no voice and the rule of malevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from earth. We read on page 58 together. You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you. As the psalmist believed, Adonai will reign eternally, your God, Zion, for all generations. Hallelujah. You are holy, your name is awe, there is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. You chose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you uplifted us and made yourself our sovereign. And so we seek you and serve you and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. We read responsively on page 64. Eternal our God, remember us. Amen. Be mindful of us. Amen. And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Amen. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. We take a few moments now for silent prayer.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atah melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atah melech Adon lechol hashalom. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol ספר חיים ברכה ושלום, ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה, ושלום ושלום, ניזכר וניכתב לפניך, אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, עושה השלום.
Shana Tova. It's so good to see everyone. Welcome back to those of you whose first time it is back tonight in the sanctuary for a very long time. So nice to be together. Before I start my sermon, I want to share a little bit with you about my philosophy. The purpose of the Bima is to explore urgent moral conversations. It's to bring a rabbinic perspective to you. And I want to say outright, it's okay if we don't agree with each other. Dialogue and discourse are at the heart of Judaism ever since there was a Judaism. The Torah disagrees with itself all the time. Nearly the entire Talmud, the whole thing is about rabbis with different opinions. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they don't. Sometimes problems are resolved, sometimes they're not. If you ask me, when you get too much consensus on a given topic in a room full of Jews, I start to get a little worried. So all of that is to say, I respect you and your ideas, and I hope you can respect me and my ideas too. I am hopeful that over our many years together, we will discuss urgent matters seriously, because that is the task of the Jewish people, and that is certainly what our moment calls for. Last year, I stood on this very spot and said, anti-Semitism was the worst it's ever been in my lifetime, and probably yours. That was last year. That was before anti-Semitism increased by some estimates 400%. That was before a van of angry men tore down Park Avenue in our city, screaming, "Kill the Jews," and other obscenities I will not repeat from the Bima. That was before a group of men approached diners at a restaurant in Los Angeles demanding, "Where are the Jews? Who are the Jews?" That was before a rabbi was stabbed 8 times outside of his day school. That was before violent far-right insurrectionists wore 6MWE t-shirts and Camp Auschwitz hoodies. That was before marchers in London shouted, "Kill the Jews and rape our daughters." That was before the idea of Israel as a uniquely diabolical state became a cemented belief in the hearts and minds of so many. I said anti-Semitism was the worst it's ever been in my lifetime last year, before the FBI announced that 58% of religiously motivated hate crimes are against us, the Jewish people, which make up 2% of the population. That was before day school children had to go to school behind the protection of counterterrorism units in our city. That was before we had to start requesting additional police presence in our synagogue. We knew it was bad last year, and that was before this time of immense hate turned itself towards the Jewish people. So my question for you tonight is this: why aren't we electric with rage? Why aren't we frantically flocking to create a formidable counterforce to the terrifying, triggering, obvious anti-Semitism of our day? Why aren't we beside ourselves, shouting from our platforms about this injustice? Think about it. We don't even have a hashtag. Why aren't we mobilizing to combat the incontrovertible, well-documented, self-proclaimed, far-reaching anti-Semitism of our day? You think it's pandemic fatigue? I don't. I think it's something deeper. You may know this famous Jewish teaching from a Talmudic sage called Hillel. He said, Im ein ani li, mili, ukshe ani la'atzmi, ma ani. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? Non-Orthodox Jews like us have always been better at the latter and shied away from the former. We are good, really good, at being there for others, less so for ourselves. And that's what I want to explore with you tonight. If I am only for myself, who am I? We are great at that, at being there for others. And we should be deeply proud. It is the Jewish obligation to see the other and to have empathy for the other. It's not a choice, not an option. It's a commandment. Remember the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Remember the sojourner, the alien, the widow, the orphan, the other. What a brilliant tradition we have. The commandment to care for the most vulnerable in a society came at the moment of our greatest vulnerability. Right after the Israelites broke free from slavery, after we crossed the sea. We were stuck in the middle of the desert, fragile, traumatized, lost, and with no home, very unlikely to continue to even exist as a people. And out of all of the commandments in Torah, that is the one we get. Don't think of ourselves, even when we are at our most desperate moment. Think about the other, about people near and far, within and beyond who are different, and care for them, protect them, support them, remember them. As I said, as Reformed Jews, we are so good at this. Our movement carries out organized, religiously fueled efforts to secure voting rights, for immigration justice, to welcome refugees. We ourselves may feel very secure in our ability to vote. We feel secure as citizens, and we are not refugees in this generation for the most part. But we fight for those who cannot. We are not only for ourselves. In fact, right now, you may not know that the sparse resources of our movement, your dues that we pay into our movement, are going to prevent Uyghur labor in China and to hold the Burmese military accountable for ethnic cleansing, for example. In areas big and small, we live Hillel's teaching. Service learning trips, building homes for the needy, raising money for refugees, racial justice, climate change, gender equity, you name it, we're in it. We are good at it. We must continue thinking about others, fighting for them, not only being for ourselves, is one of the greatest strengths of liberal Judaism. We must continue the work. It's a Jewish obligation, and we are the forerunners. But what about the other part of the sentence? The part that says, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? As good as we are with one part of the teaching, we struggle just the same amount with the other part of that sentence. And it makes sense. Our history portends that we be just that way. Being less particularly Jewish, less pulled towards the idea of being a people at all, was the major feature of our early reform movement ancestors. Pray in the language of the country in which you live, they insisted. Pray in German, in English, in French, not Hebrew. Dress like the Gentiles of the country in which you live. Don't wear a kippah on the street. Don't show tzitzit. Shave your beard. And we did. Cincinnati is our Jerusalem, the early reformers proclaimed with pride. We are no longer a nation, they wrote, but a religious creed. Stop being a people, they argued. Be universal. Be an idea, a belief. Be like everyone else. Embrace Kant, they said. Less so, Kohelet. That is our historical legacy. And even though those early reformers themselves changed their minds on many of those topics, still, that legacy is lodged deeply within our liberal Jewish personality. So it's no wonder we sometimes feel ambivalent about embracing the Jewish collective, about standing for ourselves the same way we do for others. It's our philosophical inheritance. And by the way, our culture, our current context, doesn't make it easy for us to be for ourselves either. Some brave liberal Jews did try to organize this year, very hard. Some right here in our community, in your workplace, or in your children's schools, or online. You simply tried to gather to talk about anti-Semitism, about how hard it is to be a teenager and to face the negative wrath of the internet, to talk about being a Jewish American and to wrestle with Israel's policies and practices in today's world. And what were we told over and over again? We were told, now it's not the time. Jews don't need to organize. We were told Jews are privileged, so we should just sit quietly and listen, as if privilege has helped to stop the most heinous of crimes against us in the past, as if we can't have access to some types of privilege, but not all privilege. Jews are not a minority, we were told. Or we can't figure out how exactly to categorize you, so you don't qualify. Across the country, Jewish history was gently erased from school curricula, and Jewish identity was excluded from national and local conversations about identity. And it was pretty easy, actually, to gently, even politely, shame us or dissuade us from simply trying to get together. Question for you? What's so problematic about Jews gathering? As if by simply getting together and acknowledging our shared identity, we, a tiny people, are a threat to the larger collective? As if by even saying we are a people seems inextricably troubling? As if standing up against Jewish hate is a political matter? As if standing together against anti-Semitism means we feel one way or another about Israel? As if we, an ancient people, have to accept the newest and most current categories of how others label us and name us and view us. I think we can tell our own stories. We can define our own categories. We can speak for ourselves, and we can be ourselves. I want to pause here and share why I focus mostly on the anti-Semitism we experience in more liberal-friendly settings. Let me state quite clearly that the hate for the Jewish people that emanates from the far right is detestable. Jews will not replace us, they chant with their torches and shaved heads. Fine people do not make Nazi salutes. Those people are violent, villainous, hateful, and dangerous. Unequivocally, I condemn them. They must be quickly quieted and publicly punished. I focus on the anti-Semitism of the left because, for the most part, That's us. Most of our community, myself included, agrees with the left on so very many crucial topics. And so when anti-Semitism seems to come from that place, that's where the pain is for us. That's the messiness and the complication and the confusion of our real lives. And that's our job, to really sit in that mess, to ponder history, modernity, and our own ambivalence about being a people, and to do it together. So I want to assure you that despite the messages you receive implicitly or explicitly from the world, that Jews do count. You count. Your children count. Your history counts. Our history counts. In a world exploding with identity politics, Jewish identity counts as well. The pain and persecution that we have suffered for centuries counts. When violence erupts in America against us, we know we've already waited too long to voice up. The anti-Semitism of our time is real, and there's no justification. It's not that people hate me or that they hate you. It's that people hate us because we are Jews. People who do anti-Semitic violent acts don't first poll you to check in on your feelings about Israel or how you voted in an election. They don't care. They don't hate you. They don't hate me. They hate us. They hate the Jewish people. They hate the collective. And so the question for us is, how much are we willing to identify with our people? Do we believe in the idea of a Jewish people? Or are we still somehow like those early reformers? Is Washington Square Park our Jerusalem? Are political ideologies our religion? Are op-ed columnists our demigods? Or is there another way? Political values are a valid lens to see the world. Human, universal values are a valid lens to see the world. But Jewish values are also a lens to see the world, and they are ours. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? Can we be brave enough to be for ourselves just a little more this year? Last year, I preached pride as a way to combat anti-Semitism. Show your Jewish identity, wear your Jewish star, tell others about our food, teach a friend a Hebrew song, tell them about what your family went through to even get here. Live your Judaism. And I still want us to do that. But now I see it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. We've waited too long to stand up for ourselves, and that needs to stop now. So start pushing. Now is the time to organize, to vocalize, to gather, and to do it again and again and again. Now is the time to take a risk online and post our actual opinions. Now is the time to ensure that others do not define the Jewish project and the Jewish people. We must be the ones to define it. So tell your educators, your higher-ups, that Jews too have a story to tell. We are a people with complexity, history, diversity, problems, and promise. There's one more line of Hillel's teaching, by the way. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? And if not now, when? Now is the time. We will continue to fight for others. It's the required thing to do, but also it's just the right thing to do. But this new year, 5782, my prayer for us is that we fight for ourselves just a little bit more, and that we do it starting now. Shana Tova. We turn to Vidui, Confession, and we rise. We are on page 82.
Eloheinu, ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, תבוא לפניך, תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו, שאין אנחנו עזפנים וקשי עורף, לומר לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהינו ואמותינו, צדיקים אנחנו, ולא חטאנו,
We sing a shamnu, an alphabet of our sins, together.
אשמנו, בגדנו, גזלנו, דיברנו דופי, איי 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 האבינו והרשענו, זדנו, חמסנו,
seated, we continue on page 86, Al Chet.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזדון ובשגגה.
The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשרות פה.
The ways we have wronged you by hardening our hearts, and harm we have caused in your world through careless speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפליות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים.
The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת רעך.
The ways we have wronged you through insincere apologies, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במשא ובמתן.
The ways we have wronged you through violence and abuse, and harm we have caused in your world through dishonesty in business. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי ובסתר, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת אור.
The ways we have wronged you openly and secretly, and harm we have caused in your world by losing self-control.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה.
The ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we have caused in your world through consumption of food and drink.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשק ובמרבית.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through greed and exploitation.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנטיית גרון.
The ways we have wronged you through cynicism and scorn, and harm we have caused in your world through arrogant behavior.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתרומת שפתיים.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause, and harm we have caused in your world through offensive speech.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בלשון הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
The ways we have wronged you with a slanderous tongue, and harm we have caused in your world through a selfish or petty spirit.
סלח
these failures of judgments and will. God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement. We are on page 98, Shema Kolenu. God of forgiveness, we come before you in need of compassion. At Sinai, you spoke words that guide our lives to this day, but our ancestors lost faith in you, lost hope in their Redeemer. With one voice they had promised, we will do and obey, and yet, stiff-necked, they broke their word, adoring an idol of gold. How wondrous your compassion in the face of their rebellion, your forgiveness in that moment of human weakness and doubt. We, too, have broken promises to you. We, too, worship the work of our own hands. We, too, make of gold a god. And we, too, forsake your word. At Sinai, you revealed 13 attributes of mercy. These aspects of your nature, your very essence, we now recall.
Adonai
continue on page 105. Together at the bottom of the page, we read, Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the 1000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. We read together, Our God and God of our ancestors, we are your people and you are our God. We are your children and you are our father, our mother. We are the people who serve you and you call us to serve. We are your community and you are our portion. We are your legacy and you are our purpose. We are your flock and you are our shepherd. We are your vineyard, and you watch over us. We are your work, and you are our maker. We are your beloved, and you are our lover. We are your treasure, and you are the one we cherish. We are your people, and you reign over us. We offer you our words, and you offer us yours. So forgive us, pardon us, and lead us to atonement. Our thoughts turn to those in our community who are in need of healing as we offer them a Mishaberach, a prayer for recovery of the body, the soul, the spirit, mental health. If you are making a Mishaberach for somebody you know or a loved one, please share their name aloud now. And we pause for those in our virtual community to share their name as well. Mishaberach Avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, Hu Yivarech et hacholim. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And together we say, Amen.
Find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imotenu bekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with their Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen, amen. We turn now to Avinu Malkeinu for the opening of the Ark. We invite up Elizabeth Sokwi and Bruce Resnick. We will be on page 114 and then remain standing through the Aleinu at page 116. If you need a rest from standing, sit. It's okay. We turn to page 114, Avinu Malkeinu.
מלכנו, שמו קולנו, אבינו מלכנו, חטאנו לפניך, אבינו מלכנו, חמול עלינו, ויעל עלינו, ותאפנו, אבינו מלכנו, קל דבר, וחרב ורעב, עלינו, אבינו מלכנו, קל לכל צר, ומסתיר, עלינו, אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר חיים טובים, אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו, חדש עלינו, שנה טובה, אבינו מלכנו, אבינו מלכנו, חדש עלינו, שנה טובה, אבינו מלכנו, שמו קולנו, שמו קולנו, שמו קולנו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו בנינו, אבינו מלכנו, חוננו בנינו, כי אין בנו מעשים, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד, עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו, אבינו מלכנו, חוננו בנינו, אבינו מלכנו, חוננו בנינו, כי אין בנו מעשים. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת עדותה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כלא רצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהן, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו הורים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר
Shana Tova. Careful.
למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
We turn now to Kaddish as we remember those who are gathered with us through the blessings of memory. We mourn the passing of James Aragona, Bunny Zimmer, Gladys Schuker, Robert Friedman, Bernice Shore, Dan Francescan, Robert Carr, Jack Milstein, David Schlanger, Marilyn Berliner, Trudy Owett, Elliot Levine, Joanne Raskus, Jean Abrams, Jerry Horowitz, Barnett Berliner, Dorothea Francescan, Susan Brown, and Joyce Wallace. Are there additional names at this time? We pause for those in our virtual community to also share a name of a loved one. We rise for Kaddish. We're on page 122. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, bi'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitzpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha barichu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael, ve'el kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, amen.
Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom.
Amen. Please be seated. So just a few words before we welcome our co-presidents to the Bima. Tomorrow morning, more services, 9:30. Don't come here. We will be there at City Winery. So we look forward to that service, our morning service, which starts at 9:30. We'll have a couple of minutes break after the service and then move right into Yizkor. At 2 o'clock, we'll have our family service there. If you missed it last week, you might want to come this week because our choir is really good. And they've worked so hard rehearsing together on Zoom, as you can imagine. 2 o'clock, we also have our teen experience. Speak to Liad if you have questions about that, all at City Winery. And 4:30, we'll come back here to the Village Temple for our afternoon Torah service and a very moving Ne'ilah service where we close out Yom Kippur and we make Havdalah. I hope we can have that outside in front of our building. It's not looking good, but stranger things have happened, so we'll see. And if we can't be outside, we'll be inside doing that service. Fasting. First of all, Tzom Kol, it means have an easy fast, but it's not supposed to be too easy. So if it gets a little tough, that's all right. As a reminder, if you're pregnant, you're forbidden to fast. If you have health complications, especially this day and age, seriously, I urge you to use your judgment. Please don't overdo it. And if you're under 13, do whatever you want. You usually do anyways. Last thing, highlighting some of that very good work that we are doing. So proud to acknowledge our Social Action Committee. They have so many programs coming up. Please look out. Working on climate change, working on anti-Semitism, working on racial justice, women's rights. So many topics are coming down the pike in just a few weeks. So please pay attention to that and get involved with the very good work that they are doing. It's my honor to welcome our co-presidents to the Bima, Fred Bash and Jill Wilkinson. one more thing. I just want to thank you, Eli, for your expert playing. We're so grateful to have you as a congregant and friend. This does not work.
And also thank you, Dan Rosengard, for being the best accompanist ever.
Mine does not work.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, student cantor Emma. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Eli. That really was quite beautiful, as always. And thank you all for being here tonight. This is just such a beautiful service. And your sermon was phenomenal. So thank you. So we're just so excited you're all here. We're so excited you're praying with us. We're excited to have those of you that are live streaming in. Doesn't matter how you're with us. We're just glad you're with us. So just wishing you all a Shana Tova and a healthy and easy fast. So thank you.
Oh, this is complicated, sorry. Sorry about that. It's a little more complicated than I thought. I also wanted to thank some more people. So I wanted to thank Sandy. Many of you who don't know Sandy well know Sandy a little bit because you're here. And then Liat as well, who checked everybody in, made sure that we were all vaccinated. So thank you. And thank you to Santiago as well. I don't have any announcements, just a short expression of gratitude. And it is short. We'll be out of here real soon. Several months ago, I was on a call with Jill, with the president from another temple, and they told us they were focusing on a digital presence for their temple beyond COVID. I was a bit shocked, but too polite to say anything other than good luck. So many things in life can be replaced or approximated remotely. We've learned that this last year. But even though we've improved our digital presence, we focus on this. People spending time together in this space. And we will focus on making our time together better and this space better. I was recently asked to describe why this congregation is different from other congregations, and I said other people attend services at Temple, but the Village Temple is ours. We have a sense of ownership and communal responsibility, and I want to thank you for being a member and for supporting each other and our community. Shana Tova.
We close our service with words of joy and blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Shalom Mimroma, Uyase Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, Amen. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu.
Shana Tova Tzom Kol.